Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mark here with The Better Mark. Let's get into it. The time is upon us. Week 1 of the NFL season is going to kick off in just a couple days. And in this video, I'm going to break down each and every game, give you guys some zingers, my trends, some data points along the way, and my early indications for these not opening numbers, but this is a little bit of an outlier with how we're doing week 1 because of the offseason and the preseason, so on and so forth. So these numbers have been released for a while, but as we stand here just a couple days away, I will give you guys kind of my best bets, as always, at the end of this video. So make sure you guys stick around. Also, a couple things we want to talk about. This is kind of how we're going to do it, just so you know. We will do a early look for college and pro. This will be early, probably Monday or Tuesday. Once these lines drop, once I do my research, I will drop my analysis. So make sure you guys have that notification bell turned on. Also, we will follow that up with a game day kind of kickoff video where we will get into the official plays that I lock in, as well as some of the game day kind of picks, because like I said, everything's changing. We have a lot of moving parts during the week, so you're going to want to watch that video as well. So make sure you have that notification bell turned on. And if you haven't done so, this is a great time to do so. Please subscribe to the channel. All right, we have not had a football season under our belt, so a lot of you guys are probably new faces. That's awesome. Welcome in. Please subscribe. Always feel free to leave your picks and any kind of nuggets you want to share with me down below in the comments. I try to read each and every one of those. Also, smash that like button. That's a very big integral part to us here on YouTube. You do want to do that. That way you let YouTube know that you like the stuff that I'm putting out. So please smash that like button. Also, there is something where we do have a free Discord. For those of you that are new, make sure you follow me on there. We do talk sports, all sports, day in and day out, pretty much throughout the whole course of the day. It's an awesome community that we're building over there. Like I said, totally free, so make sure you guys hop on over there. And please feel free, if you want to give back to the channel, I don't charge for picks. Become a TBM channel member today. Down below in the description, that's kind of how we do it around here. So for those of you that are returning, you guys know the deal. Let's get down into it, okay? So we are going to use Odds Jam and Outlier to talk a lot about these numbers. Great analytics platforms. And this is the Odds Jam. If you guys want to know more about Odds Jam, click my link down below in the description. You do get 35% off your monthly and or annual subscription if you do sign up with Odds Jam. It's a lot of good stuff. I do not make a bet without using one of those two platforms, and it just lets you make the best bet possible. If you guys are in daily fantasy as well, make sure you guys check them out, because it's something truly invaluable within the sports betting industry, okay? But let's get down into it. The first game is right there in front of you. That is Baltimore and Kansas City. Thursday night kickoff, 8:20. That's going to be something very exciting for me to watch. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the trends that we do get. We do have a new defensive coordinator in Baltimore. That's going to be very interesting to keep in mind. Also, something I want to share with you guys about this game. Kansas City, Andy Reid with a long layoff has been outstanding in times of preparation. Do not get it twisted. They've been installing, they've been prepping for Baltimore, the AFC conference title rematch. This is something where it's not going to be something unfamiliar, all right? We saw this game played out before, and that's where we saw 17-10 in that AFC title game, and this is something where I do predict it being low scoring. The game will be played in Arrowhead. That crowd will be absolutely raucous coming off a Super Bowl win. They're going to have their banner night or ring ceremony, whatever you want to call it. A couple new additions for Baltimore. Derrick Henry coming in. We do have a revamped kind of, I think the secondary is a little bit new, some defensive pieces. Baltimore was able to add a lot of key pieces in the draft and via their acquisitions in the offseason as well. But this is something where there's a couple contrasting trends that I do want to share with you guys. And I'm not a trend better, but for the sake of content and for the sake of understanding the game, we are going to talk about trends a little bit just to give you guys kind of the full breakdown. Lamar Jackson as an underdog has been very, very outstanding, okay? That's kind of where I lend towards. Also, I do want to share with you guys, though, the numbers. 12-1-1. Lamar has been as an ATS underdog, despite being road or home. He's 12-1-1 as an underdog against the spread during the regular season. That's a very, very, very huge nugget, okay? And the interesting thing about this number is we can couple that with some of the talk within Kansas City, right? If you guys remember last year, 2023, in this kickoff that we had for Kansas City, they were playing the Detroit Lions, and I believe that was when Kelsey was kind of irregular, let's just say it that. So I don't think he suited up for that game. Kansas City had a early lead, and then they ended up losing 21-20. So that's a little bit of an outlier. I'm not going to use that as part of my kind of analysis and breakdown because I do think that's an outlier. However, I do see a little contrasting viewpoints to this game where it leaves you kind of undecided on how you're going to bet it, right? I do not normally bet against Patrick Mahomes, especially with this long layoff. I would lend towards taking Kansas City and the Chiefs. There's a lot of unknowns left within Baltimore with what they've added. And sometimes you can have subtraction by addition. Okay, so did Baltimore get worse? I think Kansas City got better over the offseason. Time will tell. So I'm going to look forward to watching this game. Personally, if I was going to give you a lean on this, I do see a lot of points. I don't think we're going to get the same 17-10 slugfest that we got. I think that Baltimore is going to be able to put up points. And I think Kansas City, likewise, is going to showcase, I think, some of their additions. Really a big fan of Xavier Worthy coming into KC, as well as Kelsey. I think he's going to have one of his best years. A little bit of a bounce back year. He had probably, I think, in doing some of my research, I think this was last year was his worst year outside of his rookie campaign that he's had as a Kansas City Chief. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you guys are into fantasy, I am pretty heavily involved. A lot of big teams out there, big leagues that I get into. And Kelsey, I think, ended up getting twice with some value as my second or third pick. I think it was drafting late. So I'm hoping and rooting for Kelsey to have a bounce back year. And it's funny to say bounce back because he did still have a very strong 2023-2024 campaign. Something else to conclude, and I am going to talk a little bit more about this game just because of the the hype, the build-up, the magnitude of this AFC matchup. Okay, that isn't just the only end-all, be-all. I am going to have a best bet for this game. That's kind of what I'm going to share with you. I think I like Baltimore right here on the first half. Look for Baltimore to come out. I'd look for Kansas City maybe a little bit overzealous, maybe a little bit too many incompletions, or, however you want to look at it. I do see the fact that there is some value, I think, taking Lamar as an underdog. However, I'm just not willing to bet against Chiefs. So my best bet for this game as we stand right now will be taking Baltimore in the first half. We're going to take them at a plus 3.5 number. And the best odds available, according to Odds Jam right now for that, is minus 145. I know it's a lot of juice, but it still gives us a lot of outs. Baltimore could end up winning at half. They could be tied, and they could be down a field goal, and we still cash that ticket. So locked it in. That will be my early first best bet that we'll talk about. Okay, next game on the card will be Green Bay and Philadelphia. Okay, a lot of hype surrounding Jordan Love. That's going to be kind of what the storyline is. I actually have him in one of my fantasy leagues, not necessarily my first choice, but kind of just how the value ended up playing out. Now, the Philadelphia Phillies, on the other hand, adding in Saquon Barkley, that's going to be a key piece. We all know how they kind of use that three-headed monster, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens within Philadelphia in terms of calling plays. How much of the workload will Saquon actually have? I think it's a good spot for him, though, because truthfully, the way it all plays out is at the end of the day, especially with adding another week to the regular season and the expectation of postseason play for Philadelphia and kind of that letdown season last year, they're definitely going to want to stay healthy for the vast majority of the season. So this is an interesting game. I want to see Jordan Love come out and prove it. I know they added Josh Jacobs there in Green Bay. He's going to be a workhorse, a perfect running back for that Green Bay run game. I think that LaFleur is going to use him to his fullest and utilize kind of the most of his ability. I look for Green Bay to really have a strong running game, and kind of that's going to be the narrative in this one, okay? And also, this game will be played in Brazil, okay? So there's another little zinger I want to throw out there for you guys. And if we talk about international NFL games, okay, the 5 games that we have had, they have all been under. So at that kind of a trend, I think that this number may be baked in a little bit. And right now we're seeing 49s in the market. I do look for possibly buying that hook, all right? I don't make a habit of buying the hooks, but if we're seeing 49s at minus 109, you're going to get a fair price at 49.5. So leave yourself an out if you are going to go that route. That will be kind of my best bet for this game. I look for this game to be lower scoring. I see maybe the turf having some issues, and we just don't get that kind of offensive firepower that we'd all love and dream of within a Green Bay Philadelphia Week 1 matchup. So that's kind of where I'm at. I know that the Packers have a new defensive coordinator, so if you were going to be on a side of this game, it's very hard for me not to bet on the Eagles, especially at a low price of minus 2.5. So that's kind of where I would be at on the side in total. But that's kind of where I'm going to be lending towards the the run game. I think the Packers run the ball. I think the Eagles run the ball. I think Hurts is going to run the ball, and I think that's where we're going to get to this Eagles game. Probably a little bit of the altitude coming into question as well, and some of the humidity down there, where we do see maybe a tiresome under 49 and a half. I think that's where I'm going to be at for this Friday contest. Okay, and then I am going to skip over a couple games, and we'll go back to them because I don't want to give you guys all my official plays in one little chunk. But the next game we're going to talk about is a 1 o'clock kickoff between Buffalo and Arizona. Now, a lot of key departures for the Bills. That's going to be very interesting to watch and monitor. James Conner within the Cardinals is back. We have Marvin Harrison added to that Cardinals roster. And this is something where I look for the likes of the Buffalo Bills to kind of put all their eggs in one basket into correcting the problems that really afforded them to have one of their worst seasons with Josh Allen as quarterback. You could look at kind of underperforming. They're going to correct things. I know that Diggs is gone. How much is that actually going to play a role? Time will tell. But I think that we look into what the Bills were able to do in the red zone. I think offensively, that is the biggest question mark. Josh Allen leads the NFL in turnovers in the red zone. Okay. Can't have that. Can't have that. You got to hold on to the football. You got to convert those scoring opportunities into points, and that's kind of where I'm at within this matchup. If you want to get into the prop market, obviously the number right there for Josh Allen to score anytime touchdown, I think that's where he's going to look to take charge of this game. The total is set at 48.5, so it's not truly the offensive slugfest that we're kind of looking at, I guess, at face value between the Cardinals and the Bills that you would expect. But this is something where there's always value. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdowns, always love that, especially at plus money. So that's kind of where I would stand on that one. But I want to see where Buffalo kind of comes out. Right now in my power rankings, this is kind of where we look at Buffalo is kind of being kind of a glass half full, glass half empty in terms of where my optimism is. I want to root for them. All right. I really, truly do. There's no reason that I want to, but I just want everybody to have success, and I want Buffalo to play to their level of expectations, especially for Bills fans, what they had to do within the Kelly years, and then getting so close with the, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs era, and that great defense that just never really could get past the Kansas City Chiefs. So very kind of eerily similar to what, Pittsburgh and New England, that kind of whole narrative was like, although Pittsburgh did get one. That's kind of how I kind of view this. It's just kind of never got there. And I don't want to see Josh Allen turn in to be the next Dan Marino. So great kid, rooting for them. Hopefully they can get it done this season as well. But this is where I'm going to stay away from the side. In total, if I had to go into this game, it would be Josh Allen, anytime touchdown scorer. Okay. And then we can look into the Tennessee Titans and Chicago Bears. Now, this is another interesting zinger I'm going to throw out to you guys. And this is going to be one along the lines of the rookie quarterbacks that have been drafted high, okay, against the spread in week 1. Rookie quarterbacks are 0-16, okay, that's a huge nugget. Now, that is a trend where I think it's a little bit worth talking about, quite frankly. And in this matchup between the Bears and the Titans, Caleb Williams, whether you're high or low on him or you just don't care, they have the weapons. Acquiring Keenan Allen, what they were able to draft, also at the wide receiver position. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. This is something where the Bears have the firepower. Okay, couple that with DJ Moore. You look at DeAndre Swift, what they were able to add to go along with Herbert, and I think it's just setting up to be a very interesting kind of matchup. I want to see what Caleb Williams does. Personally, I'm not really the biggest fan of his for, being a Notre Dame fan myself and having to watch him play at USC. I saw him make a lot of costly mistakes and maybe trying to do too much, whatever you want to call it. He will turn over the football. I do see that coming. And this is something where if I had to play this game, it would be on the lines of Tennessee plus 4.5, going with that rookie quarterback trend drafted in the first round. But this is something where, or I'm sorry, drafted 1 overall. But if I had to talk about this a little bit more, I'm just not sure too much where the Tennessee Titans are going to be absent Mike Variable, Will Levis, adding Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins is getting old. The story goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden, no Derrick Henry. So where the Titans are going to end up, time will tell. I just don't see the Bears being a strong enough team right now and having enough data to go on them and back them at -4 at home. So I'm going to pass on this game as well. All right. Then we can talk about one of the biggest probably teaser candidates, and I will drop my teaser in the Discord. That will be kind of how I do it. I love betting NFL teasers, and this will be one where I do drop my teaser pick of the week. We will probably do that, a little bit earlier than later because of the numbers moving, and that does make a ever-loving difference within these hooks if you're going to take teasers. But the Patriots and Bengals, that'll be the next game we talk about. This is something where we have a lot of status questions to go over. Joe Burrow, he's going to have the best offensive line. If he's truly healthy, he's going to have the best offensive line that he's had as a professional. Now, the table's set. All he has to do is close the deal and eat the dinner, okay? But I think there's a story to be said about, Jamar Chase with the absence he's had, some of the contract negotiations with D. Higgins, then the leaving of what we have with drawing a blank. Just took him, actually. Joe Mixon. Yeah, so Joe Mixon off of the Bengals. That's going to be another storyline to watch and follow as well. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of optimism surrounding the camp behind Chase Brown, what he's going to be able to do, his ability as a pass catcher. Mixon's pass blocking, that was always a question as well. So very interested to see what the Cincinnati Ball Club comes out to do. And we're seeing this number drop a little bit, but you can actually find 8.5s for the Bengals. So I don't really agree with it. I think that this is probably one of the most bet teaser legs of this week one. I do look for the Patriots to possibly be the lowest scoring team in the NFL this season, as well as look at the Patriots to probably have one of the worst records, if not the worst record, when we get to season close. I'm not really a fan of who they decided to go in and hire and replace. Very early, similar to what Michigan did. I understand from a stability standpoint, you want to preserve that culture, but I just think that where New England was in terms of their franchise, you basically graduated a living legend, and then all of a sudden you just strip everything down to its bare bones, but you're trying to keep things the same. I just don't think that's a good recipe for success. I think they should have went out and just did a complete 180, found a tried and true, tested coach, offered him a ton of money, gave him complete control, and then revitalized that franchise for those Patriot fans. But that's not how it worked out. And so in this game, I do see the Bengals rolling at home. They will be a teaser leg in probably the vast majority, probably the most heavily bet teaser leg of week one, like I said. So that's kind of where I'm at. Very bullish on the Bengals, too, for futures bets down the line. So that will be my breakdown of New England and Cincinnati. So let's go back and touch upon one of my other best bets a little bit further up on the screen in your top left. This will be Pittsburgh and Atlanta, okay? Another one where we have another couple additions to talk about. Kirk Cousins, with the pieces the Falcons were able to assemble on defense. Matthew Judon coming into play. You look at the Falcons, and there's every bit of reason to have optimism around this ball club with what they were able to accomplish last year with probably the worst quarterback play in the NFL. So now we look at this 2024 campaign with the Falcons. You add Kirk Cousins and what he was able to do in Minnesota. A la Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison were in the fold. He has the weapons in Atlanta, okay? And whether you believe in Drake London, whether you believe in kind of, what they're able to do with Bijan Robinson, he's going to be very, very well equipped to get the job done. However, not so fast. Pittsburgh still going to be that defensive juggernaut. I think that Pittsburgh is able to shut the door. I think they're familiar with Kirk Cousins. I think that Pittsburgh's going to come into town, and we are going to see the defense for Pittsburgh shine a little bit more brighter than the offense. And in this matchup, I look for a low-scoring affair where, quite frankly, I think that the total at 42.5 is one where we're going to need that extra half point. Let's take that under 43, get a juiced up 43, take that under, and that will be my best bet within Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Okay, and then we're going to go down the card, and this will be the likes of Jacksonville and Miami. If I was going to bet this game, obviously, we know the firepower that's with Miami. I think Trevor Lawrence is poised to have a great year for the Jaguars as well. I look for the over 48. If we see a 48 hit the board, that might be a bet for me. That might be in play. Tyreek Hill and company within Miami and Tua getting paid. I think that what Mike McDaniel is going to be able to do in Miami is going to be ever much the same. A very high, potent, powerful offense. Devon Chain, as well as what we have coming out with Jalen Waddle. Some more wide receivers kind of in that fold as well. Miami's going to be able to score points. So whether Jacksonville's defense shows up, we know that Calvin Ridley has left Jacksonville. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do like Jacksonville to be able to score points. Trevor Lawrence, as well as Travis Etienne, they're going to be able to get some points on the board. Miami's defense, there's a lot of talk and hype about them, but I still think when your offense plays the way they do, the defense does get taxed. So I look for this game to go over the total. That would be my best indication if I was going to give you a lean in this game. Okay. Next one is Carolina in New Orleans, okay? This is Bryce Young. This is Carolina. This is the NFC South, okay? I don't really like what Dennis Allen is able to do as a head coach for the Saints. Derek Carr, I don't trust him as well, but I would give the edge to Derek Carr in quarterback play in this matchup. However, I think Carolina has added a lot of pieces. A lot of people are kind of betting on Carolina to be that sneaky team in the NFL, possibly going over their win total. I think that's set a little too low in terms of value, but I definitely could see them being another dud here in the NFC South as well. But I do feel that with what Carolina is able to do, if I was going to bet this game, it would be on Carolina taking the points as well as the under. Low scoring, grinded out game, a lot of running the football. I think they're going to play possessions. I think they're going to just try to move the chains. No real explosion, although New Orleans does have a lot of weapons. Chris Olave as well as Alvin Kamara still able to do it, and Derek Carr's no slouch. So utilizing Taysom Hill a little bit in the run game on week 1, I think that's going to be in play. So if you do want to get a little frisky, Taysom Hill anytime touchdown, that's probably a very good plus money value for all you prop bettors out there. But look for this game to go Carolina on the side and under the 42 points for the total in this spot. Okay, Minnesota and New York, that's the next game to talk about. Now, Minnesota, we all know what's the storyline there. Will the quarterback step up and be able to get the wide receivers the football? Okay. Me, frankly, I was a big fan of that happening. But everything from training camp, all the reports that we're getting, not so fast, okay? So when we talk about this, you look at kind of the quarterback play and what we're seeing within having Malik Neighbors coming into Daniel Jones's arsenal. It's going to be interesting, okay? Brian Flores in the Vikings, a defensive-minded team, okay? I do want to talk about Sam Darnold being kind of able to still do it a little bit. I don't know what we're going to get, if we're going to get a J.J. McCarthy-led Vikings team at one point during the season, but I know that within kind of how that has progressed, if you look at the storylines and what's happening within his health and so on and so forth, it's going to be kind of, I think, the story to talk about. I was a fan of him. I wish that he was still involved. But within, this matchup, I think that you have to kind of understand that Sam Darnold is played with San Francisco. He had weapons in New York. I think that he does have a very good shot of still delivering for all you fantasy players out there, delivering the football to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. They will get their tight end back in, I think, 4 weeks. So that's something else to keep in mind. So I think the Viking stock is a little bit down more than it needs to be. But I don't really have a play on this. Quite frankly, I'm going to be betting against the Giants in probably every spot. But this is one where I want to just see how this game plays out before I kind of add to my power rankings between the Vikings and Giants. These are two very much question mark teams that I have on my radar. So this is a definite pass in that regard. Okay, Raiders Chargers. That's another spot where we're going to talk about the next game up. This is where we have Jim Harbaugh coming into town. You look at what we have within Las Vegas. You do get Gardner Minshew, who, quite frankly, had a very good season in some respects in terms of getting the ball to Pittman. Michael Pittman had a fantastic year. His targets dramatically increased with Gardner Minshew in the fold. Why I took Devontae Adams in a lot of my fantasy leagues as well. So I do look for Minshew madness within the Raiders to continue. And this is kind of where it's an interesting spot because I do look for Antonio Pierce and Jim Harbaugh. They want to run the heck out of football, okay? So Harbaugh has an arsenal of running backs. Herbert, very, very perfect quarterback for that Harbaugh system. I think this is the best thing for him. I think that you're going to see a different Herbert, but I think it's going to be a better Herbert, okay? So Josh Palmer, probably his number one receiver. We do have some sleepers on that side as well. But in this matchup, I look for a lot of running of the football. It's kind of why the total's set at 40.5. That is the best number we can find if you are going to back the under. That's how I would lean, but I want to see this game play out because I do think that we do have the potential for some fireworks within what the Raiders are able to do from a pass standpoint. So that's kind of where we're going to look at passing on this game, but a lean towards the under 40.5, 41 if you want to get it juiced up and kind of stick on that key number. Okay, now we have a couple games left to talk about. I am going to go up the board a little bit, and we're going to talk about the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. This will be one of my best bets. On paper, Houston adding Joe Mixon. We have Joe Mixon. We have the likes of Tank Dell. We have Nico Collins healthy. We have Stephon Diggs added to the fold. Okay, crazy to think about, but the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud are going to be absolutely, pretty much that team you want to play with on Madden. They're going to be on paper the best team offensively that you could dream of. Will we get a sophomore slump out of CJ Stroud? That's the big question. That's the big question mark in Houston. What we're able to see with, kind of the storyline within the Texans and kind of their coaching situation. And I want to just pull something up for you guys real quick. D'Amico Ryans, by all accounts, should have been coach of the year as a rookie head coach for the Texans last year. Full disclosure, you guys are going to be watching me all season. I am a Cleveland Browns fan, okay? So taking home that trifecta with Myles Garrett, Joe Flacco, and the likes of Kevin Stefanski for coach of the year, that was an anomaly. It doesn't usually happen within those futures markets. They're kind of rink-a-dink markets too, in all honesty, so I don't really put too much stock into them. But I think if I had a vote, D'Amico Ryans would have got my vote. And look for kind of possibly for him to have a sophomore slump. I don't really understand this line movement in this game, though. We're seeing this number shift a little bit towards Indianapolis taking money. This is one of my best bets. I'm taking Houston minus 2.5. But I'm going to actually take them on the money line at a minus 133 number. Okay, so I do like the spread. I'm just going to pay a little bit more, take them on the money line as long as it's as close to minus 133. If we creep up to that minus 140, $1.40, then I'm going to back the Texans on the money. On the point spread at minus 2.5. This is one of my best bets. I think that Anthony Richardson too, with the offseason he's had. Quite frankly, I just don't believe in the Colts, too. I think that, he had a great season until he got hurt. He's a very mobile quarterback, but sometimes you just hit a little bit of a funk and you get off the tracks and then the wheels start falling off. And that's basically what we saw with his return to action that we saw in the preseason. I don't put a lot of stock in the preseason, but I did notice a little glaring difference between his rookie campaign and this year. And it's not what I'm talking about within, athletic ability. He didn't lose a step. It's just delivering the football. I think that was a little bit off kilter, and there was just a little too much of me noticing that to back the Colts in this first week matchup. So give me the Texans on the money line, minus 133 as my best bet. All right, and then we have about 4 more games to talk about, 5 with Monday Night Football. So I do want to share with you guys kind of my leans on Denver and Seattle. Seattle is kind of that trendy little pick there we got, right? They are the trendy favorite. I'm not really quite sure why we have so much love on Seattle. I really like what Bo Nix is able to do, but Bo Nix is one of those rookie quarterbacks. So something where in terms of a prop market I can look into, Bo Nix scoring over 1.5 touchdowns. I think that's very much in play. And I do think that we have the potential for fireworks in this game as well. 41.5, a little bit too low for me. A lot of people are on Seattle. Quite frankly, I don't feel the love, so I'm going to stay away from this one. So if I was going to attack this, it would be in a prop market bet where I take Bo Nix over 1.5 touchdowns. That would be my best bet in this game, but no play for me. I think Kenneth Walker's going to have a big year, DK Metcalf as well. I think we see a lot of productions offensively, but, as of course, we do have Geno Smith at the helm in Seattle, so we'll see how that all unfolds. But Seattle was that sneaky kind of like team that ruined a lot of people's Sundays last season, so look for that to continue at home with the 12th man. So that would be my play in the Denver-Seattle game, but no official play for this matchup. So let's get it. Let's talk about the Browns and Cowboys. My squad, I do separate my sports fanatics, my fanaticism with my betting interests. I try to stay objective, and that's kind of where, I'm not one of those guys where I'm not going to bet my teams for or against. If it's going to cash a ticket, I'll bet it. I don't care if they win or lose. All right. But in this matchup, we'll see what Deshaun Watson does. Okay. We know Chubb's out. That's kind of where we're at. So absent Chubb, I think that's kind of arguably going to be, as long as his rehab and he comes back to form, I think this could be kind of a blessing in disguise having him absent for the first third of the season, potentially, just because of the fact that, the added week to the season, his injury concerns, the volume that he gets. I kind of like the fact that he's, can't get any more hurt for the first third. All right. And I think they do have a very serviceable backfield. I think the Browns, what they were able to add, Donta Foreman, and we all know kind of what they're able to do. They have a stable of running backs that, they're not Chubb, but they're going to be serviceable. Okay. So from all accounts, they're going to open up the offense. Jerry Jeudy coming into the fold. Njoku set up for a big year as well. The offensive line, they kept a lot of offensive linemen from their round of cuts from the preseason. So that official roster, they just really kept on that depth, right? They're going to keep rotating guys. I think we're going to see that a lot. And I do look for Deshaun Watson to have a bounce back year. A little bit of soreness as always, but hey, he can always go get a massage somewhere. So that's kind of where I look for the Browns to win this game. Minus 135 on the money line would be my best bet. The dog pound will be crazy, and I don't really, quite frankly, appreciate kind of the respect the Cowboys have garnered. Prescott, great story, but he has literally just a tight end and a receiver and Ezekiel Elliott. So I look for the Browns just to kind of outlast the Cowboys. Also, I do think the under is in play, all right? I do think the under is in play. I think that's why we're seeing a lower total than we normally would have. But something interesting to note about the Browns in their 2023-24 campaign, they had the lowest scoring, they had the best, basically, defense at home and the worst possible defense on the road. So very contrasting kind of opinions for that Browns defense. But by all accounts, Jim Schwartz going to play aggressive football. I look for the Browns to cover in this spot, and I also like them on the under. We saw that kind of what happened within week one last year. You're going to get a kind of a defensive slugfest, I think, and I think that's the storyline that I would most likely hang my hat on if I was going to bet the Browns-Cowboys game. But right now, no official play. Washington and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, their defense is going to be outstanding. A lot of love for Washington with what they're able to add with Jaden Daniels. But once again, we're going to go back to that narrative about the first-round quarterbacks against the spread in week one. For me, this would be Tampa Bay or pass. So -3 on the spread and -165 on the money line. Kind of leads us to taking Tampa Bay at home if I was going to bet this game and backing Baker Mayfield and company. All right. And then two final games to get into. One official play left on the board. We do have the Rams and the Lions. A great Sunday night matchup for Sunday Night Football. Let me know down below in the comments. I kind of find myself favoring the Sunday Night Football. The Monday Night Football games sometimes are just duds. I don't really know who makes those schedules. They do it for ratings, but quite frankly, I think that they need to have the more of an ability to flex out some of these games. I understand with preparation concerns, it's a very hard task to do so. But with Rams-Lions, we're going to get Jared Goff. We're going to get Matthew Stafford. We're going to get Kyron Williams. We're going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's going to be a very, very exciting offensive matchup. I think this is kind of why we're seeing the highest total on the board right now at 50.5. Okay, so 50.5 is the highest number for the week one slate. Excuse me. And I don't think it's going to disappoint. I see we're going to get a lot of points in this game. Whether or not we get over 50, it's kind of set on that key number. Whether or not we get over 50, that's yet to be determined. So I am going to kind of hold off on this game for now. This will be a game that if I bet, I will touch it later in the week as we get closer to Sunday. But for now, I just want to do a little bit more thinking on this one, research. I will be involved in this game in one form or fashion with the Sunday night spot. But right now at 50.5, you're seeing it potentially having a setup to be kind of that primetime under. I think that's a trend that I do believe in. If you guys are going to bet with me with live betting as well, you will see that from time to time. I'm a very big live better on the unders, and this one will be played in Dome. So that's kind of where we can't really use some of the logic that I use for those live unders, but That's where I'm at. So if I was going to bet this game, I'm not going to take the Lions with 3 and a hook. If it drops to 3, I might get involved with the Lions. But I am very bullish on both of these teams. I'm more so bullish on the Lions. We'll see if Cooper Kupp has a bounce back year, stays healthy. We'll see what happens with Kyren Williams if he can stay healthy. We'll see how much Blake Corum gets involved in the offense. And as always, Puka Nacua. Will he have a sophomore slump or continue that offensive output that was quite easily one of the best rookie campaigns for a wide receiver that we've ever seen. Okay, so that's my handicap on this one. It's a wait and see approach. I want to see what happens with this total, but right now at 50.5, I don't see any edge on one side or another, so I'm going to pass as of now. All right, and then the final game on the card, Monday Night Football. Can't wait. Aaron Rodgers going against his childhood favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers. Growing up in California, wanted to play for the 49ers. Kind of a similar story to Brady, but this is where we look at this game. And I think the storyline with the Jets are going to be how much more improved their defense will be with a quarterback that can keep them on the field. Okay, so as long as Rodgers is healthy, I'm stock up on the Jets D, and that's kind of how I feel about it. I took them in pretty much all of my fantasy football drafts. I was really putting an emphasis on taking the Jets from a defensive position, and this is where I think Rodgers, I think we're kind of alluding to the fact that he's, recovered from that injury, but I don't think he's going to be as mobile as we're used to seeing him. And I think that even if he is, he's going to kind of go easy on it. He talked about, I watched a press conference where he talked about when he did play for Green Bay and he was all hobbled, he has a different playbook basically where he just keeps it in the pocket and moves around a little bit, but he doesn't basically carry the ball outside the pocket, and that's something where mobility is a big part of how he's able to improvise, make plays on the run. So within Rodgers coming back to the Jets, let's take a wait-and-see approach with that as well. But this will be one of my best bets because, quite frankly, the 49ers, they're going to have a very, very sour taste in their mouth from losing that Super Bowl that they should have won. They didn't win. Obviously, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but they blew quite a bit of late game heroics. I think that happened with the Lions game, then it happened with Kansas City, and then here we are with the 49ers looking to avenge their 2023 campaign. Trent Williams, by all accounts, will be back in the fold. That negotiation is complete, so they will have the best lineman in the NFL. Brandon Ayuk signing that monster deal, and then Christian McCaffrey. He will be healthy for week 1. We'll see if that continues for the duration of the season, but week 1, he will be healthy. And kind of something I do, and it may be something stupid, but I do this with NBA, I do this with NFL especially. McCaffrey has had some injury concerns, and I root for him. He's a great kid. One of the kids, Stanford kid, one of the kids I root for. Never want anybody to get hurt, but unfortunately, it was the same thing I said about Chubb, and I'm a Browns fan. They should have traded him. If you play a whole season without kind of any damage, it's just law of averages. A ill fate is right around the corner, and I think that, that's where I think the 49ers are really going to have to use their depth at the running back position this season. Just kind of a gut feeling, but I hopefully he plays the whole season, makes an MVP campaign, and the 49ers get their Super Bowl. Okay, but the Jets, that's going to be an interesting matchup, probably the game of the week. We got quite a few of those. We have the Jets, 49ers, Rams, Lions will be a great matchup, and then also we get Eagles, Packers, and the Baltimore, Kansas City game. So we got 4 really big games, primetime games, arguably games of the week. They're all in the same slate, all in the same week 1 matchups. So, like I said, this will round up my card. That will be my best bet for the Jets 49ers, where we will go into the 49ers minus 3.5. I just personally think they blow them out. And if we do get a lower scoring game, it's something where I have no problem winning this bet 17-13 or beyond. So that'll wrap it up. That is my breakdown of week 1. These are my 5 official plays. We have basically a long video in this one, so appreciate you guys that all stuck around, but I want to be thorough. I want to give my breakdowns and analysis, and this is the best way I know how to do so. So make sure you guys all turn on that notification bell, smash that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, make sure you guys all do below. But that's where how we'll do it. We're going to start off the week this way. We're going to do this in college and pros, and then I'll give my videos as we get closer to these primetime Thursday and then the Sunday card, as well as Monday Night Football. So that's kind of how I'm going to do it. Appreciate appreciate you guys. Thank you for being part of the channel. If you want to become a channel member, link down below if you want to join us here at TBM, and hop on over to the Discord before you guys leave here, because this is going to really get kick off the NFL season with a lot of banter when we get that community all fired up with the Week 1 picks. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next video. Good luck with your bets. Cheers.